Recently, Diddy, Puff Daddy, Brother Love got hit with a crazy lawsuit from Cassie, and as most of you guys know, settled it the very next day. $30 million lawsuit. And this led to not only him getting hit with multiple other lawsuits, but it also led to Jimmy Iovine, Jamie Foxx, Diddy's partner over at Bad Boy, and a handful of other people to also get hit with these lawsuits. And they're all getting hit with the same type of lawsuits, and they're all getting hit in the state of New York. Okay, now there's a reason for why these things are happening in the state of New York. We're going to talk about it, okay? We're going to be talking about it. But I want to make sure that we first have to acknowledge what's happening here. And listen, I'm no expert. I've never met Diddy. I've never been around him. I have some mutual friends. I've heard some stories that you guys haven't heard. The way it was described to me outside of the essay stuff was that Diddy is the real life embodiment of Frank Lucas. Frank Lucas, if you guys haven't seen American Gangster, Denzel Washington plays the character Frank Lucas. Frank Lucas is a famous drug dealer from New York. Denzel Washington plays him in American Gangster. And Diddy was like that. Who Denzel was in American Gangster, that's what Diddy was like in real life. Okay, so this whole like positive guy, brother love, cap. All right, and so when you start hearing him affiliated with the potential death of Tupac and all these other murmurings that folks have been knowing about forever, it's not surprising. Okay, what is surprising is the additional lawsuits that came out, and specifically, what is surprising is the details of what happened in the Cassie suit. Now, again, we don't know if these things happen. I think him settling the very next day is crazy. And if that's not an admission of guilt, I don't know what is. But listen, we don't know. We don't know. What I could do is only pontificate about what happens in the mindset of the Harvey Weinsteins to the Diddys, the need to control, the need to dominate, the need to behave in a sexually deviant way. And it really just comes down to...
This is a sickness of the highest order.
That's what I thought when I heard about the details of this lawsuit. From Wale being hung off a roof, allegedly, to the stuff that he made Cassie do, which I'm not even going to repeat. It's just complete debauchery. But it is a dominance, bizarre thing. It is you have so much access to excess in terms of sexual marketplace that you just get bored and need to see other crazy stuff. And it goes from, I want a variety of women and all types of women, to I want multiple women at the same time, to I want to watch.
This is a sickness of the highest order.
Right? And this is the thing about sexual sin. It is insatiable. It is insatiable. It will always make you want more. And so I think Diddy, or whoever these other people are, and again, we don't know what is and isn't legit, but I think Diddy is a reflection of what happens when restraint is taken off and you can do whatever you want, right? You can do whatever you want. Because a lot of you guys, a lot of us have dabbled in some corn stuff. Some folks have escalated it to things that are crazy. The difference, I think, with Diddy is that this is what happens when you have power, money, and access. And it's unrestrained. It's just unrestrained, right? So we could try to clinically analyze and say he's a sociopath, he's a psychopath, he's a this, he's a that. I think Diddy's an opportunist. I think Diddy had power, had access, had resources, and had his way. That's what I think happened. And I think there's a lot more Diddys out there walking around than we'd like to acknowledge it. I'll make it real for you guys. I remember being in high school, and we are in North County, San Diego. North County, San Diego, for those of you guys that have been out here, have a massive Camp Pendleton is our huge military base out here, Marine base. And I remember being in high school, and I remember there were Marines that were dating freshman, sophomore high school girls. And I mean, that's SA. That's before the age of consent. So I say all that to say, there's a lot of folks walking around like that. There's a lot of folks walking around. They get a little bit of power, they get a little bit of influence, they get it right, and they can go off this is the issue with power. Like unless power is serving truth, power will go off the rails and do unthinkable things. And sexuality, if not checked and restricted to the confines of a covenantal marriage, with boundaries and protections and those sorts of things that are designed by God, it will eat you alive, right? So I don't think Diddy is unique in this. Right? Yeah, it's the whole idea. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Unless someone has restraint, accountability, and the power serves truth, right? And even then, you got to be extremely careful. You got to be extremely careful and guarded, right? But when you got absolute power like that, for sure, it's going to corrupt people. So why is this happening now? Why is it all back to back? We had the Me Too movement. We had, which came with downstream effects of that too, right? This whole like believe all women always, okay? We then saw how that played out with the Johnny Depp situation. If you factor this in, there's a very specific reason why now you see Jimmy Iovine, now you see all these other people getting hit with these similar lawsuits. Why? Well, a creator that I watch called Diverse Mentality did a video on it and breaking this down. I wanted to give credit where credit is due because he actually did the research on this, and I wanted to play you guys his video so that we can get context of some of these other lawsuits and specifically what the legalities are about why so many came down all at once, right? Because Diddy in a way opened up the floodgates, but there's a technical error. There's a technical thing happening here as well.
So that's that, and then now we got also Bad Boy former president. The former Bad Boy president's name is Harvey Pierre. He has been sued for sexual assault by an ex-assistant. Pierre allegedly groomed and sexually assaulted a female employee whose identity has been kept secret in the mid-2010s, according to court documents obtained by Rolling Stone.
So this is Diddy's right-hand man that then gets hit with this.
In her suit, which was filed in New York City County Supreme Court, the alleged victim claims that the record executive sexually assaulted her on multiple occasions from 2016 to 2017, causing her physical, emotional, and psychological injuries along with pain and suffering. So it's essentially the same thing as...
so as Diddy's partner, if you guys ever watched Making a Band, he was all over Making a Band.
Everybody else that's been sued this past week. In a statement to Rolling Stone, a Bad Boy spokesperson said, "We have recently become aware of the lawsuit filed in New York by a former employee. The allegations are from many years ago that were never brought to the attention of the company. Neither the plaintiff nor the executive are current employees of the company. We are now investigating the allegations, and our top priority is safety and well-being of our employees." Another person that got sued that was big name is Jimmy Iovine. He used to be the former CEO of Interscope Records, and he had that joint business deal with Dr. Dre for Beats by Dre. And he's retired from being this Interscope CEO. I don't really know what he's doing now. I think he's just kind of chilling because he is fairly older now. So he's kind of done what he did. But he's getting accused of sexual abuse and harassment in a New York summons. So Jimmy Iovine has been accused of sexually abusing and harassing a woman in 2007, as detailed in a newly filed summons. According to Pitchfork, the document was filed in Supreme Court of the state of New York City on Wednesday, November 22nd, by a woman who is currently only identified as Jane Doe. Doe is suing for assault and battery as well as violations of New York City Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Act and the New York City Human Rights Law, alleging she was sexually abused, forcibly touched, and subjected to sexual harassment and retaliation.
Okay, so all these guys are presumed innocent until proven guilty. These are all allegations at this point. We don't know what's going on. However, I think we know this archetype. We've seen the Harvey Weinsteins. We've seen these sorts of things. And whether it's Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein, we know this, right? We've seen this story before. And I think I'll say this, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. Where there's smoke, there's usually fire.
In August 2007, a spokesperson for the Interscope Records co-founder told Rolling Stone that they were shocked and baffled by the summons. "This inquiry is the first we've heard of this matter. No one has ever made a claim like this against Jimmy Iovine, nor have we ever been contacted or made aware of any complaint by anyone, including this unknown plaintiff, prior to now. While the summons has been filed, a lawsuit is not, but it is forthcoming according to the report." Why is this all happening? Well, look at the running theme here. It's New York. Everything.
So here, Diverse Mentality is going to break down why this is happening in New York. This is the technical aspect of why we're seeing so many come in back, bang, 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 back to back. Listen to what he says.
Is getting filed in New York, and there's a specific reason as to why. Because there was a law passed last year in November 24th, last year of 2022, that allowed a 1-year window of anyone that got any type of abuse done to them by anyone. Doesn't matter, high power, low power, regular person, exec, anyone that got abused at any time frame. Doesn't even matter if it was decades ago, like the Guns N' Roses. It happened in 1989. That's decades ago, long time ago. Doesn't matter the time frame. You can, come forth and sue the person or put up a lawsuit or whatever the case may be. So that act expires November 24th, 2023. And once
you guys get it, there's a law that opened up no statute of limitations, and that law is about to expire. That's why you're seeing so many of these come down now, and that's why they're all in New York, right? Because there's usually a statute of limitations. I want to say 20 years on SA when I was looking at it earlier, Okay. So a lot of these predate the 20 years. That's why Diddy got hit with another lawsuit for something he did in the 90s.
So it expires. It goes back to the regular laws of you can only, sue and put a lawsuit if it's within a certain time frame.
Yeah, I believe it's
because
20
there
years.
is statute of limitations when it comes to, claiming these type of things. Because if it happened decades ago, it's like, it's kind of hard to kind of prove that it happened and so on and so forth. So that law is expiring. So let's go over the law. It's called the New York Adult Survivors Act. And the
Late adult sue survivor attacks that occurred even decades ago. The law has given adult survivors of sexual assault 1 year to file lawsuits against the perpetrators and is set to expire November 24th. That's crazy.
Essentially expired. So back in 2019, they extended the statute of limitations of sexual assault lawsuits to 20 years. So you had a 20-year window that, right now it's 2023. So if something happened to you in 2003, you could file this year. But anything before 2003, you could not file. So the Guns N' Roses situation, that was in 1899. She could have not filed anything. But a lot of these ones that are coming up right now are actually fairly recent. 2017, 2018, and one was 2015. I know the Diddy situation was all over the place, but that was like 2010, 2011, 2012. So it wasn't too far away. I mean, 2012, 2013 is like 10, 12 years ago, whatever, 10, 11 years ago. So that is quite some time, but still, it's not too far away when it comes to these type of situations.
Legal deadline prompts a slew of celebrity lawsuits. This is 4 days ago, right? A final wave of SA lawsuits 1 year window closes in New York. That's New York Times. And so advocates push for more permanent legal change after 1 year window closes. So here's why you're seeing so many of these come in back to back to back, right? They got Andrew Cuomo with it. This is crazy, man. This is crazy. So that's why it's happening in New York. Okay, that's why it's happening in New York. And I think, listen, all these people need Jesus. At the end of the day, we all need Jesus. But especially if you have immense power and immense access, right? Immense wealth, immense resources. You got to have them restraints. I mean, there's Christians that have struggled with sexual immorality, right? So imagine if you're not a Christian and you have all the access to excess. All of this is going to go down to a brokenness of where people are at and why they're doing certain things to try and fill that void, right? And it's the old hurt people, right? So I think that's where this is all going to come down to. And I hope that justice is served. I hope that these folks go and get the day in court. And I hope the false allegation and the people that are doing this just as opportunists that they're dealt with. And that's not okay either, right? Because, I mean, you got Jamie Foxx saying that he's never even met the person, I believe. I believe that's what he said. And that's happened too, right? Justin Bieber had been accused of stuff in a city and state that he was able to prove and substantiate that he was not even in the city and state where the victim allegedly said the thing happened, right? So these things have actually been proven and debunked before, right? So we don't just believe everybody blindly. That's important as well, because just the allegation can destroy a man's life. Just the allegation, especially at the peak of the MeToo'd movement. And this is where, like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, right? This is why when some folks advocate for the Billy Graham rule, what's the Billy Graham rule? The Billy Graham rule is not to be alone with a female. That's not your wife. If you're going to be alone with a woman, there has to be someone else there. When people advocate for that in ministry, they get dismissed as being misogynistic. And isn't that interesting? So how do you navigate in this sort of climate, right? Where there are real men and women who've been essayed, and then there's just allegations that completely destroy and ruin people's lives. How do you navigate that, right? And I don't know. This is why I stay out the way. This is why I don't travel alone. This is why you don't see me out and about. This is why I live a very quiet, simple lifestyle, and I'm definitely not hanging out with women alone or texting with women alone. Definitely not, right? I stay out the way. No, that doesn't mean I don't have female colleagues or anything like that. No, it's just when we have those sorts of arrangements and meetings and guests, there's usually other people here. We see, according to the Bible, that prayer is extremely important in terms of us being transformed from the inside out when we get aligned with God's will. For the Christians watching this channel, I want you guys to implement these spiritual disciplines in your day-to-day life. And the only way I've been able to do this consistently is through writing down my prayers in a prayer journal that does a few things. One, it allows me to reflect and come to God humbly and ask Him to move on my behalf. And two, it allows me to document my prayers, which ultimately help me remember the very things that I was praying for and see the hand of God tangibly in my life when He answers them. So I would urge you, consider writing down your prayers. It could be in a blank notebook. It could even be on your phone. Or you could check out the one I personally designed and used for my own quiet time and spiritual discipline that I think will be a huge blessing. It's the exact structure and system that I've used for years to pray and be more consistent in my spiritual disciplines. You can pick yours up today by clicking the link in the pinned comment below. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.